Greetings and salutations, my artsy friends. Hey, Vicki Johnson. How are you this morning? So good, I hope. Are you ready to get artsy? I sure am. That's for sure. So let's, is the sun shining in your neck of the woods? The sun is shining here today. It is beautiful, clear blue skies. Good morning, Valerie. So nice to see you. It is setting out to be a gorgeous day in Peoria, Arizona. Hey, Linda, how are you? I'm excited because tonight we are going to see, so remember I told you that I have two degrees, one in early childhood education and one in graphic arts. And so when my child was young, I had a daycare in my home. I taught kindergarten, I've taught preschool before all of that. But then once she was born, I had a daycare in my house for about 20 years. And one of the boys that I took care of, and his younger brother also, I took care of him, is in a rodeo. So he's rodeoed his whole life, but he's in a rodeo here in Scottsdale. And so I'm super excited to get to go watch him tonight. Good morning, Tam. How is everyone? So that's the excitement around here. I did want to talk a little bit about, oh, I got another birthday card in the mail, so I wanted to share that. So look at this beauty from my friend Stephanie. She is the best card sender. I'm just going to tell you, she sends me a card for everything. She sent me a card when Sophie died. She's just lovely. Thank you, Stephanie. That makes me so happy. Our friend Vicky different Vicky, is traveling to Arizona right now. So let's all hope that she travels safe and that she doesn't hit any crazy weather. It looks like they might have some crazy weather in front of them, and so let's hope that they're able to avoid that. That's always crazy. Good morning, Kate. How are you? Hey, Carol. Okay, so let's get our art journals out, everyone. And our art journals are a composition book, right? Cold Minnesota. Oh, golly. So, Kate, are you new here? I presume so. If you do not already, please follow and like and subscribe to Ann Corbiere-Scott Designs on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And then ask to join our private Facebook group, Let's Get Artsy with Ann Corbiere-Scott. And that you'll be asked 3 questions. They're super, super easy. And then, anyway, then you'll be part of the cool kids group. So I will just tell you, it's the loveliest, most encouraging, generous, creative community you'll ever come across. Everyone is so kind. We don't let any meanies in. We're all lovely people. So during my pop-in paint parties, we do some card making and then some art journaling and then some artist study. So like next week, we're going to do an artist study. But our art journal is a composition book. So anybody can grab one of those, right? And so just grab yourself a composition book, and you can go back and watch my past art journal editions of my pop-in paint parties and catch up as time allows. Don't feel like there's any kind of pressure in any kind of way. But we're going to find a clean page this morning. Let me find something that doesn't have anything on it. Ooh, look at, I got a bunch of clean ones right there. Okay, here we go. All right, so we're gonna take a page and we're just gonna paint a background. Whatever color is speaking to you. So let's get our paints out. So we're just gonna watercolor a background. Hi, Catherine, how are you? So I'm gonna use kind of a big brush because I want a big coverage. So I'm gonna do wet on wet this morning. I'm just kind of feeling it. I don't know. So that's where you just paint water. On your substrate, get my, there we go. Get my piece of deli paper behind there so we don't bleed through. You just paint water on your substrate first, and then you're gonna add your color. I'm gonna add pink, of course. I'm just feeling it this morning. So just take your time and paint your background. I should have activated my color first. I didn't, and so it's taken a little bit to kind of get things going, get things moving this morning. So we can do lots of things. You can just paint your background just like this, or you can add some, add some visual interest in there. By just coming in and maybe splattering some more color on there, or just getting some darker areas. It doesn't matter. We just want a nice base of color for us to continue our entry on here today. Oh, I somehow got some green in there. Oh well. A little visual interest. Okay, now I'm going to dry mine, but you take your time. You can do you. I don't want anybody to ever feel any pressure in this class. It's all about creating. So I put a note out this morning to everyone that says what you needed for today's class. You need your watercolors, you need your favorite stencils, some colored pencils, gel pens, a black pen. I mean, all pretty simple things that everyone would have. So this is pretty wet because I did wet on wet, so it's gonna take a little bit to dry. If you are a fan of art journaling and you want to take it to the next level, you might think about taking my art alchemy class. In that class, we do art journaling, but we step it up a notch. It's a 3-month-long class, so we're coming to the end of this session, but just know that you can hop in at any time and you'll have access to all 3 months. So you can create right along with the videos. And then you can also post in, because it's in a private group, you can post whenever you choose. You can, and you know, everyone's still pretty active in those groups, and so it's a great thing to do. And this week we are going to, this Saturday we are going to be creating a negative painting. And so here is one of my samples. Whoops, upside down. Right? So it is, we're going to be using acrylics and paint pens. If you don't have a paint pen, you can certainly use a Sharpie. Anyway, it's so fun. And I'll tell you, we've done all kinds of artsy exploration in that class. And I have 3 more months planned for the next session. I'm almost dry. Well, not really, but getting there. With this little piece right here. Well, we're still pretty wet. And then, let's see. Wordsmith Art is on Sunday, and I'll show you that. That one is so fun. You know, I love all things art. So in that class, we are going to be exploring geometric collage. And so I am super excited to share with you that we are going to be creating we're going to be adding a new page to our art journal, right? To the Wordsmith art journal, which is an old dictionary. And we are going to be creating a collage with these geometric pieces, and then we're going to paint them and then add layers and layers of visual interest and texture and dimension with mark making. And then building our collage with those on a sheet of acetate. So that's super fun. I'm getting there. Not all the way, but I'm getting there. How am I doing on time? Hey Sherry, how are you? How's Tucson this morning? Getting there, getting there. It's finally drying. Let's see. I think we're all the way dry. I think. Yeah. Okay. So now, if you're not here, don't worry about it. You can just, I want you to take your time and just enjoy the journey of the flow of this project, you know? I don't want anybody to ever feel like they're in a big rush. Okay, so now you're gonna take your favorite stencil. So I have a few here that I thought I would play with. I don't know which one I want to use. I like to use, for projects like this, I'd like to use a stencil that has a big opening. So I'm thinking, not this one. Okay. And I'm thinking, not this one. Kind of liking this. This one's so organic and cool. Okay. So here's what I like to do. I'm going to take my, I like to do pencil first, but you know, you do you. And I like to trace the shape. Or you can do this, you can come in with a black pen and trace the shape with your black pen. Right? So let's go all the way across. And this is the where I ripped the corner. I'm gonna have to somehow fix that. Not sure what I'm gonna do yet, but something will come to me. Right? So I came up with this idea while I was on vacation. Remember I told you my 100-day project for this year is 100 art journaling techniques, but ones that, but just for me. I feel like so much of my art is shared that I just wanted the freedom of just creating for myself, and then, you know, maybe some magic would happen, and some did. And I'll show you as soon as I'm done tracing. So I presume you get the idea, right? We're just going to be creating some openings for artsy goodness. And I'm doing the entire sheet, right? The entire page. I love that. I love when it just goes off the page, when it just continues on. And this doesn't take long. But just enjoy all the steps, you know? Whoops, whoops, whoops. Solo pen skip there. Okay, I think I've gotten all of it. Okay, so shut up. Look at that. So I'm going to grab my other art journal, my vacation art journal, and show you the version of this that I did while I was on the plane and in Puerto Rico. Okay, this is what I did. So I was really inspired by the mosaics. There were so many mosaics in Puerto Rico. And so I just drew all of these little tiley shapes, right? And I have this crazy pencil that has all of these different colors, right? So I colored each thing a different color, and I could do that with one pencil. Crazy. I know. Anyway, so just know that this was the beginning of this idea, the kernel. So you could certainly do this if you'd like. You can certainly fill your little openings with little bitty tiles, right? Or you could do something different. So just like always, let's talk about the layers that we have so far. We have 3, right? We have the page, which has either lines or a grid, whatever happens to come in your art journal, right? The next layer is the paint. And the following layer is our stenciled image, right? So now we can fill these images, these spaces, the openings, or the outline with some mark making or some color, right? We can just build another layer with something new. Okay, so I have a couple of ideas. Oh, everybody take a drink. I feel like I just keep yakking. So this is going to be time consuming, and that's okay, right? Because that's what art journaling is all about. It's about discovery and the journey and getting into that flow state. So I had a couple of ideas. I had colored pencils that I'm thinking I want to work with. And I think I had another color that I wanted to add. Let's see. So I have colored pencils, but I was also thinking, wouldn't it be fun to play with gel pens? I have all kinds of gel pens. You could use markers, you could use whatever you have, right? Hot pink, that's the one I wanted. So I'm playing with idea, and you know what? Here's the thing. You could do the outside and the inside. You could do whatever you want, right? So maybe I want to color in my squares, but I want to do it kind of randomly, right? So I'm just going to randomly color some hot pink squares. Oh, let's leave that purple area. I don't know, let's do something else up there. Who knows what? I'm just gonna keep building. Lots of texture. And the cool thing about composition books is that this paper is super thin, right? So we have colors that bled through. Use that to your advantage. So I have a little bit of yellow from the page that we did for Ukraine, right? So I'm gonna make those yellow. And like this little mistake that I made up here, I'm gonna make some of these kind of purpley. I got a little bit of orange up here. I'm gonna bring some of that orange in there. So I'm thinking you could do some colored pencils. You could do some gel pens if you wanted. You could do some, so right already we're mixed media, right? Because we have watercolor, we have stencil, and we have colored pencil. But who's to say you couldn't do some Tombow markers if you have those, or Crayola markers, whatever you have. You can just continue to, so I'm using the grid because that's the base, but you could draw circles. You could draw those little tiles like I did in the sample that I showed you. It can just continue to grow with you, right? You can make this your own. I'm just giving you the basic idea, right? So I'm coloring in, and then now that I have a bunch colored in, now's the time for me to like take a beat, take my pencil away, and just look at my composition. See where I want more pink. See where I want to, like maybe there's a place that doesn't have enough color. We want a little more balance in there. Right? And while you're doing this part, ponder your next step. Where am I going to go next? What do I want to do next? Like, while I'm doing this, I'm thinking about the purple that I want to use in this corner. So there's a purple called Parma Violet. And I love that color. And I knew that's exactly what I wanted to use up here. And I'm just, again, just randomly coloring in squares. Or you could be coloring in, you know, circles or whatever, stripes. However you want to fill in your space. Oh, I'm loving that. I'm going to bring some down. Because I still have a little bit of purple going here. But then let's get a little bit of pink in there. Oh, look how pretty that's looking. Oh, I'm loving that. Yep, yep, yep. Do. Now I have this brighter, this processed red colored pencil. That's a little bit deeper pink. So I'm feeling like I really want to use that to just add a little more depth. And now I'm starting to see how nice it looks when it's a little bit more concentrated. And so I'll go back with my pink and do more squares, my hot pink colored pencil. But right now I'm going to continue on with this processed red, which is so funny, isn't it? Because it's so magenta. But in the world of graphic design, processed red is one of the 3 colors that make all the other colors. Sometimes they call it magenta, magenta cyan, and yellow. Oh, I'm loving it. I hope yours is shaping up the way you want it to be. I can't wait to see what everybody creates, so be sure to take a picture. And you know, your pictures can be of the finished product, or, you know, it could just be of the halfway done. I mean, I love that when I can say, hey, what do you think I should do next? You can absolutely ask your friends in our private Facebook group. Post it there. And everyone is so kind and will give you nice feedback. Okay, now I'm thinking I really want to add some of my, like some yellows, or I have that Spanish orange, and you know I'm just in love with that, so I'm going to add bits of that where I see the yellow that peeped through. I see a little bit right there. Look at that, so pretty. use those bleed throughs to your advantage, right? Just start to play that up. I think I want to do something a little, yeah, this is just orange, and I think that might be a cool addition here. Hey Jennifer, how are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Right, so let's just keep building. And I will just tell you, the piece that I did in my travel art journal, that took forever. But I loved it because I could just keep growing it, growing it, growing it. So I'm going to show you that one more time. So you could feel, so this one, I did all the outside, right? I did the background, so to speak, and the stencil part is what I left plain. And for this one, I'm kind of doing the same thing, right? I'm doing the outline of the, I'm filling in the outline of the stencil with more color. I'm deepening that. And then I'm leaving these plain. But who's to say I don't color those all in black or make some designs in there with my black pen? Who knows? That's the thing. You could just keep growing, growing, growing. And here's an idea. If you are going on a road trip, or you know you're going someplace where you have time that you need to wait, just do one of these. Just take, for this one, I just traced my stencil. Just trace it in on a page in your art journal. Then you've got that. Or if you have a page in your art journal like this, you could absolutely, remember, this is where I had some extra color from something else, and I just patted it down. I just transferred it to my, I had extra color, and from a card I think that I was making. Don't ever waste color. If you have paint left over from something, paint it on a page in your art journal. Then you've got a start, right? You've got a second layer. I have, I thought I had another started page. There we go. Here, I had some pink that was left over from something. So this one is super interesting. Number one, the black Sharpie bled through onto this page, so you can see the circles that I drew, right? So that was my second layer. My third layer was the pink. I just painted this pink. Then I took a stencil right here, and I think this was with a technique that was in my Wordsmith art class and my Let's Get Artsy with Our Bibles, where we stenciled and we removed removed color with a wet paper towel, right? So think about the possibilities of that. So seriously, they just keep growing. So it's okay to just have a bunch of starts in your art journal, right? Like I have this start. I know I want to do something cool in there. I just don't know what yet. So I'm leaving it until something pops into my noggin, right? Oh, here's one where I just painted the page and then I just splattered that same color, more concentrated, on top. Just let it dry. And then who knows what I'll do with that. But then I've got to start. So think about that. You've got all of these starts in your art journals, right? So I'm going to continue on after I take a drink. Filling in with color. I think I might want to do some deeper violet up here. Maybe this one is a little bluer. And that's giving me a really cool vibe. This little part of a square, that's perfect. Maybe something over here. Now I know, like, as much as I love this, I know I want my other colors to be as dense with color as up here, because I'm really digging this. So now I'm just going to continue to build as I go along. Let's get some more orange down here. So are you creating along with me, or are you just watching? Let me know. I would love to know. A little bit of orange there. Let's do a little orange here. And this also creates a nice... Hey, Robin, how are you? I'm going to come back with my hot pink again and start to build that background a little bit more. I'm going to start filling more squares so I have a more dense background. So that's going to start to make a nice contrast. And remember, in art, we're always looking for the contrast, right? We're always looking for, so we want to be sure to build enough background so that these start to pop away, right? Right now, I'm still so spread out that it's not as apparent, but up here, I see it, right? I see it. I'm not touching the negative space inside of these shapes that we traced with our stencil, right? I'm leaving those plain until I don't. You know, it's up to you, whatever you want to do with your art journal entry. Oh, I'm liking that. But like I said, use what you have. If you have stripes, then do something that plays up those stripes. If you feel like drawing images, absolutely draw those little tiles, those little, and they're just like little blobs. I didn't draw squares or anything. I just drew blobs and then filled in those blobs with color. This is really starting to shape up. I'm loving it. And also note, we don't have to finish this today. We can just color and color and color, and then 3 days from now, when we think of a great quote, we can add that quote to our page. We can leave it the way it is. We can do whatever we want. But just know, art journaling doesn't have to be start to finish. It is oftentimes a continual work in progress. And that's good. Then it's kind of doing its job, your art journal. It's feeling like I want to add some more purples up here. Its job is to help you grow artistically. And the way you grow is just by continually making art, right? and by experimenting and making mistakes and making things you love, whatever it is, you're going to learn something from every entry that you create in your art journal. You're going to learn, I'm never going to put those two colors together again. Or you're going to learn, I love this technique. I love whatever that technique is, right? Oh, I'm loving it so much, you guys. Let's get that process red. Start building that too. I hope that you're just losing yourself in this process. I'm trying to not talk too much because I want everybody to get into that flow state where you're just creating for the sake of creating, you know? And you're just losing your sense of time and space and all of those things. Like I'm working really good up here, and I'm seeing that I need to do some work down here. I'm starting to see my pattern. Everybody take a drink. Sorry about that. I forgot to show you our entry for Let's Get Artsy with Our Bibles, where we're going to be creating with geometric shapes again and our art papers. So you need to bring a sharp pair of scissors. And then, so I did 3 tip-ins with my message, 1 tip-in with on my acrylic page, where I've created my collage on that, and then I painted my actual page in my Bible, so that I had a really nice backdrop for all of my layers of art. So just note, all of these classes are, registration is open on my website. If you want to get a little more artsy, And every now and again, step away, like look out the window or look across the room and then look back at your piece. You'll see it with fresh eyes. Sometimes you're so intent on top of it that you start to focus in on one little spot. And that's okay, but it's nice to give your eyes a rest, number one. Move, like I said, look across the room and for a beat, like count to 5. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, and then look at your piece again. You'll start to see, oh, here's an area that I need to build more color in. Or I really like what's happening here. How can I replicate that in another area? Do you know what I'm saying? So just, this is why art takes a while, right? We shouldn't be in a hurry. We should just be taking our time, creating as things kind of come to us. When you create in such a natural way, oh my gosh, the results are magical. Are your visitors there, Tam? I can't remember what day they arrive. Get some more pink going down here. I'm really liking that. There we go. Let's get some of these other colors in here. I think I want to build up a little bit more of the orange and yellow over here. I'm loving how this is shaping up. And if you want to be precise, make sure that you have your pencil sharpener right at hand. That helps a lot. Because remember, a sharpened pencil will give you a more precise end, right? A rounded pencil is for blending. I really want to play up the shapes. These I don't know what this shape is. The ovals and then this kind of a two-ended teardroppy shape. So I'm trying to concentrate a lot of my filling on the edge of that shape, right? Because that's going to keep firming up the shape. Like you'll start to see it take form, right? But just, and not like solid, just enough that you're like, oh, I see it, I see it, I see it. Like it starts to, remember what I said, we're looking for contrast, right? That black helps first, right? And then let's play that black outline out up with color. Little by little by little, we'll start to see it almost like appear. Not too much. You don't want it to look, unless that's what you're going for. I want mine to be kind of subtle, you know. Let's sharpen my pink. How's everyone doing? Take a big drink. So if you are thinking about what can I add to this when I'm done, at the end of every newsletter that I send out, I leave you an artist quote. That would be the perfect thing to add to the bottom of this, or within the your openings, however you want to choose to incorporate it. I'm just saying that go back over my past newsletters. If you haven't signed up for my newsletter, now's the time. By joining the private Facebook group, there's a question where I ask for your email, and that's how you'll get on the newsletter list. Or there's a pop-up that comes on my website, Corbiere-Scott-Designs.com. Or there's a section right here on this page on Ann Corbiere-Scott Designs where you can sign up for my newsletter. There's always pictures and inspiration, and sometimes there's little process, like a little artsy process. Sometimes there's a playlist. Sometimes there's class postings with what's, upcoming classes. There's always something interesting, but there's also always an artist quote at the bottom of each newsletter. So be sure to check those out and use those. Use those to your... Good morning, Carol. Use those in your art journals. I broke my point. Darn it. So, think about how you want to incorporate your quote. I just like adding quotes to my art journal entries, because then it gives me like one more. Well, number one, it gives me one more element, and I can usually make it a contrast element. So like a piece of white paper is going to pop, right? Because we have so much color going on here, right? So think about that. Think about if you used a black Dymo label maker, that would be a big contrast too. It's all about building contrast and shape and color. Like all of those things work so well together to create great art. I'm just little by little continuing to build my background and foreground. Like now I'm like my open spaces are so much more apparent as I go along. And here's the thing, I haven't even gotten my gel pens out yet, right? So all of these gel pens, the cool thing about them is that they're going to add like a shiny element, right? So I have like this pink, right? Let's add some of that. See what happens there. I did get a piece of cardstock out so that I could prime my pen. Yes. So these are really cool. These Sarasa clip pens by Zebra. They're very cool. So I'm going to add some little shiny elements. I have this one with a deeper pink. Stop it. Right? So let's do a little bit of that. Build with that. I love that. Adding like just this little bit of shiny elements. And I also have, are you ready for it? Are you ready for it? My Sparkle Pop pens, which I'm just madly in love with. So they're like a glittery, shut up, look at that. So let's add a little bit of that glittery element. It's shiny and glittery. So look how cute that's gonna be. That's kind of fun. And look at the difference of it on white and on the pink, right? So like you can just continue to right here. Learn that way, right? How different mediums work on the same substrate, right? So how the Sparkle Pops work on white versus color. How the colored pencils work on white versus color, right? Like you've got so many opportunities to learn more about your tools, what tools you have, whatever tools you have. Because like I said, you can do this whole thing with Crayola crayons if you want. You can you know, use whatever mediums you have. If you don't have a stencil, then you could use something that, I don't know, a plate or some, I'm telling you, some of my best tools are bottle cap, water bottle caps. I could trace it, trace it, trace it, trace it, trace it, right? And create the same kind of, I could create my own pattern. I could, and I trace around everything. I trace around washi tape. I trace around cups. I trace whatever happens to be here, right? So just know that you can just continue to, you can make art with whatever you've got. Don't ever feel like you have to have a special kind of paint or a special kind of pen. For crying out loud, we're using a composition book for our art journal, right? But just and be sure to date whatever you've created, because you'll remember, and it'll take you back, and you're like, oh yes, I remember I did a color study of like purples and pinks and oranges and yellows, right? I did some color building for contrast with my stencil. It'll start to come back to you. There's something about things hooked to a date, I find, that really, I don't know, it triggers something in your noggin. I'm sure there's some big scientific term that we could be using, but I don't know what that is. I'm just going to put a little pop of orange down here just to see what's going on. Hi, Alejandra. How are you? Little by little. Like I said, just use what you've got. And create art. You'll be so happy. Because there is something that happens with our heartbeat, with our heart and soul when we create art. Like, it just has this peaceful effect on a person. The shiny is really like just adding a little something something, isn't it? I'm loving that. I'm really digging that. I'm finding that I need to be pretty light-handed with a lighter touch works best with the gel pens, because I'm afraid it's going to poke through my paper, and I sure don't want that to happen. So I'm finding myself barely touching my paper. Did I go over? I sure did, honestly. Sorry about that, you guys. Anyway, I hope that you will just continue to play with this technique in lots of different ways. Remember, don't do just one of these. Do many of them. And I'm telling you, you'll keep learning and learning and learning as you go. I hope everybody has a tremendous Thursday. And remember, all of my classes are still open for registration. Travel safe, Vicky. And keep making art. You'll be so happy and peaceful and blissful. I adore you all, and I'm ever so grateful that you take time out of your day to make art with me. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye.